Good morning, friends, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kristen. I'm the maker behind DoSoKnits, my little corner of the internet where I share with you guys knitting and other fiber crafts that I've been diving into and completing. This is the third video of the Year of Stash Knit Along, Make Along that I'm hosting this year. In these videos, I share with you guys the projects that I finished last month, the amount of yarn that I got out, the yarns that I bring in. I show you all the yarns that I bring in, and I share the community stats for the Year of Stash Make Along, Knit Along that you guys have all submitted on the Google form. And yeah, we are 25% of the way through the year in this make along, which is crazy, but I really like sitting down and sharing all these stats and numbers with you guys. So I hope you have something cozy. I definitely have some projects and yarn to share today, and we can go ahead and dive right in. So the little admin at the front that I like to put with all of these is if you are new, if you're stumbling on this video part of the way through the year, in the description box is linked the introduction video about the Year of Stash KAL and the links to the Google form. The hashtag on Instagram is hashtag Year of Stash KAL, and then the link to the Discord is also in the description box. But it's all down there, and if you want more information about like what I'm talking about, check out the informational video or hop over to my Instagram. I have a highlight with a lot of the information that I talk about in that video, but in a written format. General gist is, if you make any projects using stash that you had from before 2023, you could enter those projects in for prizes. The hashtag is KAL for a knit along, but you can knit, crochet, spin, sew, basically anything that uses stash that you had from before 2023 counts to be entered for prizes. And that's basically all of that with going over the details of what the knit along is. But I do want to say, if you're returning, if you've been a part of the knit along, I have updated the Google form just a little bit, and I wanted to do a little housekeeping on it now that we are 25% of the way through the year and we can kind of work out some of the kinks. So when you go to enter in skeins, grams, and mini skeins, please round up to the nearest whole number. You can round up. So if you use half of a skein of yarn for a project, because most of the time, like when I knit a pair of socks, I use like 60 grams or so of a 100-gram skein. Round that up to one skein out because you've used that one skein, even if you didn't use it fully. That's just going to make it a little easier so I don't have any decimals. I have to go in and kind of do that manually now, so I've added that little note on those numbers. Yeah, and if we can just round up so we don't have any decimals, that'll make this a little bit easier. And then for types of projects, please look at the ones that I have listed. If yours fits in one of those categories, please select it. So like one of the categories I have is socks/slippers. So if you knit socks, please select the socks/slippers. I know there is a space for other to put in other things, but just for the stats and making the pie graphs that I make, if you can select from one of those categories, that's great. If it really doesn't fit, then use the other option and you can type it in. And then I'm trying to add categories that I've forgotten as I go, but just because I've seen like people type in socks when I have the socks/slippers option, that makes it harder because I have to like condense and combine things. And then I've added like a tops and vests option as well, because I know those are a little different than sweaters and cardigans. But yeah, if you can just look at those options that are there, and if it fits in one of them, please put it. And then if it really doesn't fit in any of those categories, then use the other option, because otherwise like it doesn't count toward the big percentages. So we want to try to do big percentages as much as we can. So thank you. And yeah, that's all the housekeeping. So let's look at my stats for March of 2023. So in March, I had a ton of finished objects. I finished 7 different things last month. That's crazy. Actually, coming into April this morning, I only had 1 active whip. I have some lingering whips, but I'm not counting those as active. but for like 10 hours, I was a monogamous knitter. I had one work in progress on my needles, which is, I don't know the last time that's happened. I then this morning cast on a new project, so you know, but one work in progress coming into April. So that's pretty crazy. I won't go into too much details about the projects. If you want more details about the projects, details about the yarns, etc., check out my main podcast episodes. There'll be one coming out next week, but you can also go back to last week's video to see. But these I like to keep short and sweet. We don't go too much into project details. But I finished a secret test knit that I can't tell you. I finished my fire pit mitts. I finished my Heritage Harbor, so one sweater. I finished my Easy V, a second sweater. I finished my Oslo hat, so a hat. I finished 3 dishcloths, but I count that as one project. I don't count them separately. And then I finished a plant hanger for my mom. So 7 different projects. All in all, my projects used 25 different skeins of yarn. I did finish 2 sweaters this month, so that does help toward that total. And I used 1,581 grams. This is definitely my biggest yarn usage and yarn outage month. I think this is actually going to put me in the negative for the first time for the year, which is pretty exciting. I also had a pretty big destash this past month. I destashed 23 skeins of yarn, and that was 1,800 grams out as well. So I moved a good amount of stash out this month. So all in all, my March stats ended up being 48 skeins out and 3,381 grams. So that's including my yarns that I knit and the yarns that I destash. Yeah, and then I did look today at the projects that I finished and how much of it was from before 2023. Because I know that's something along I'm asking you guys to do, but I track all my stash in and out for these videos as well. So of all the projects that I've finished, 50% of all the projects that I have finished this year has been from old stash. What kind of tipped it this month? In January and February, I actually had a good amount that weren't from the new year, but I bought yarn for my Heritage Harbor and I had to buy a little bit for my Easy V as well for the color work. So 50% of what I've done so far this year has been old stash, which is pretty good. And that's only what I've knit. I'm not including destash. Almost all of what I've destashed is older yarn, anything from before this year. So yeah, that's pretty good. 25 skeins down and 50% of what I've knit this year is older stash. So that's pretty exciting. So then we can move into the yarns that I brought in this month, because as I'm working through the year, I'm definitely not doing a no buy. I'm just trying to end the year using as much as what I can from stash, and then only really buying yarn for projects that I have like in mind right now, or that's the goal. It's not necessarily always the case. But as I've been looking at newer cast-ons, since I only had one this morning, a lot of what I have either isn't the colors I'm looking for, or I don't have enough. So I'm trying my best to use what I have. If I really like the color and I can easily, accessibly get some more of that yarn, I'm trying to just like top up to be able to make something. But otherwise, I'm trying to also, if there's something that's really not going to work and something that I find that I think is going to work better, like kind of doing an exchange, maybe bringing in some new yarn, but then destashing something that isn't calling to me, something that could have worked for the project, but I use something else instead. So that's kind of my spiel there, but I'll show you kind of what I've brought in this month. I have some fun goodies. So the first thing I got is I did join the Les Garçons Mystery Sea Club. So I've gotten some of Les Garçons clubs before and I always really like them, and I need to use some of them a bit more, but the colors are always so good. And sometimes with clubs, I've kind of moved away from them because I don't always like the colors that I end up with, but I always like these colors. So I feel like it's a safe club for me to get. But it's the Mysterious Sea Club, and they send you this little postcard. And then also, so this month was the Mysterious Diver. If you haven't gotten it, just skip ahead a little bit. But for the Mysterious Diver, we get a cute little sticker and a pin to match. So I'll put this on my knitting bag and this goes on my knitting notebook. And then the base they send is the BFL sock. It is 80% superwash BFL wool and 20% nylon, and it comes with a mini skein. So here it is. It's a fingering weight. It's beautiful. The color is Mysterious Diver, and then the mini is Edith's Butler. And then you get a little stitch marker that kind of coordinates with the club. So we have a little starfish. I love this green. I think it's beautiful. So I have no ideas and no plans for what I'm making with these. I'm probably going to wait to see all the clubs together. But I love BFL. My old Fantasias Unite is BFL. So you never know. I never know what I'm going to make. I have a ton of sock sets. That's what this cubby is, self-striping and sock sets yarns, but I'm so excited that this is BFL this time around. Past couple times I think have been merino and nylon blends, but I love a BFL. So really excited about that. That's the first thing that I got this month. So I definitely have 2 more months coming because it's a 3-month club. So yeah, we'll see a couple more of those in the upcoming months. The next thing that I got in was some mohair. I had an idea to make a lento, and I had some yarn in my stash that I was trying to pair a mohair with. However, I don't think it's going to work out. I'm not 100% sold on the swatch that I've made, but I'm still just going to keep this mohair in stash because I'm trying to stock up a little on my mohair. So I did get 3 skeins of Barocco Ariel, but the third one has been caked up for a swatch. So this is Ariel. This is the color Driftwood. It is a mohair and silk blend, 65% mohair and 35% silk. Working with it was lovely. It's just this is more of a like brown with a gray tint, and I want something a little more warmer brown for the project that I'm looking for. So I don't know. I have the option to return these if I want to, but I may just keep them and keep them in my stash because I don't really have a ton of mohair reserve. Just like laying around that I can throw into like smaller projects. So I may just keep it because it's a really nice neutral and it's been really lovely to work with. So those are the next things that I brought in. I then bought a ton of Dishy from Knit Picks. Fiber Hustle does their Dishcloth Revolution, and I wanted to do it, and I went on Knit Picks and they were having a sale on Dishy, and I went a little crazy for what I could do in a month, but I kind of built a pretty color palette that I thought. And so Dishy is worsted weight 100% cotton yarn. That's basically it. It's my favorite cotton yarn that I found to make dishcloths with. I've tried the Sugars and Cream, and it's just a little rougher on my hands versus the Dishy has a really nice hand to it. There's absolutely no way I can show all of these at one time, but I got 8 different colors. I have 7 here to show you because I've already started knitting with one. So this is the first half. And then this is my second half. The other color I don't have here is like a light blue. So I feel like I built a really nice color palette. I just went with the solids. Figure if anything I can do plain dishcloths, I can do some striped ones, and I'm really liking it. I will say I knit some of my old Dishy multi, which is like the variegated one, and I had to then use the other half of the Dishy yarn that I have downstairs, and the Dishy solids are softer than the Dishy multi, at least from the one skein that I had, in case that is of interest to you. So I can go through all the colors. This is Inlet. We have Sun-Baked Clay and Coffee. Navy. Mushroom, a good brown. We have Honeydew. Douglas Fir. And that's all of them. Those are all my dishy colors, and I'll just make dishcloths whenever I want. Pick them up, put them down. Don't really have a plan for them. I'll probably make some for gifts this year for Christmas. And yeah, I just wanted to stock up a little bit. I was kind of running low on some of my cotton yarn. I was trying to like use it up, and then I wanted more, so I bought more, but I'm much happier with the solids. I had gotten some of the multi. I think I'm more of a solid person, so I think that'll go over well. And yeah, I think I'm gonna try to just kind of knit them maybe while we're cooking dinner more often. That's what I used to do. And I'm gonna try, I've started knitting them. I used to crochet them, so that's kind of where I'm at with dishcloths. So that was 8 skeins of Dishy In, 800 grams. I then brought in 2 skeins of Patton's Wool Worsted Classic, but I already used that in the plant hanger for my mom, so you'll get a little more information about that in next week's podcast episode. But I got like the natural mix. It's just like a light brown. It's 100% worsted weight yarn from most big box stores. You can find them. I got this from Michael's. Very cost effective, and it's got a really, really nice hand to it. It's a really nice worsted weight wool yarn. And then the last things I have are some de-stash yarns. So at Fancy Tiger Crafts, there's like a stash swap in the springs. So you bring like your old stash that you don't necessarily want, and you can swap with people, and it's a free event. So I grabbed a couple skeins from that. I'm very proud I didn't walk away with any sweater quantities. So I got this skein of yarn. It's a brown tweedy kind of yarn. It's from Plymouth Yarn Company, and it's the Homestead Tweed. It's Aran weight, and this is the color Bark. 90% wool and 10% Donegal for the tweed. So I have no idea what I'm gonna make with this. Probably a hat. It's just my colors, you know, brown, and it feels really, really soft and really nice. So I grabbed that, and then I saw this sitting there as well. This is a cone of yarn. I tried logging it in my Ravelry to the best of my ability, but I couldn't find the actual base. So there's a sticker on the inside that says Crystal Palace Yarns, which I'm pretty sure is the brand. It's a 50-50 wool alpaca blend. And then there's the word Andine, which I thought was the base, but in the Ravelry yarn search, I could not find that. I could not find any 50-50 wool alpaca blend from Crystal Palace Yarns on Ravelry when I was searching. If anyone else finds it, please let me know. So Andine could either be the color or the base, but there is a color of 460. Anyway, it's like a really pretty marled purple and gray together. I think it's probably about a sport weight. And I figured I would just make a hat. I weighed this with the cone inside, and it's like 200 or so grams. So if anything, I'll definitely be able to make like a muscle burrow. You know, something easy, one of those easy gauge hats. And it's really soft and really nice. So I just grabbed it because I thought it was pretty. But yeah, that is all the yarn that I brought in this past month. Nothing super crazy. Some onesie twosies, and then I did go a little crazy with Dishy. But I figured if I'm paying for the shipping, I might as well just stock up on the Dishy. But then I did also get my Nest Fiber Club for February in. So this is a BFL blend, and it's called Cabin Fever. These are my colors. I'm excited to spin this up. And like I said, BFL is one of my favorite bases. So I'm hoping it spins up pretty well. I hope I enjoy it a little more than I did with the Polworth. And yeah. So that came in as well. That's 4 ounces, but I don't count that toward my totals. Fiber is different. So total for the month, I brought in 16 skeins of yarn. And so that means for my year-to-date stats. I'm at a negative 25 skeins and a negative 1,248 grams so far. Yeah, my total out from earlier was 48 skeins this month. So bringing in 15 versus 48 out is pretty good. So now we can finish talking about me and we can talk about the community stats for the year of Stash KAL. So for the month of March, this was our biggest participation month of the year so far. So that's super exciting. We had 126 different entries for the month of March. So thank you guys for participating. I love seeing what you guys are working on. And if you submitted any photos of your finished objects, I'll insert a little slideshow here so we can all see what everyone finished this past month. love seeing everything that you guys are working on. I think it's so fun. So make sure you keep submitting those and keep sharing on the Year of Stash KAL hashtag on Instagram. And I'll try to do a little bit better about sharing all those on Instagram. Life's just been a little busy this past month. But let's talk the numbers. So for the month of March, there was a total of 271 skeins used and 117 mini skeins. All in all, we're at 23,376 grams of stash out for March. That's just for March. So for the year and for this knit along, we are at 644 skeins and 267 minis for a grand total of 54,305 grams. That's crazy. So now that we're 25% of the way through the year, I kind of want to do a challenge of, we're quarter of the way through the year. So maybe for June, we're at 54,000 now. Do we think we can get to 120,000 grams by June? It's a little more than double than what we have, but I think that'd be a fun goal for us to try to hit as a community together. Let me know, do you think we can do it? We're at 644 skeins, so maybe can we do 1,200 skeins of yarn and 120,000 grams? That's the goal. Anyway, our top projects for March, we had 39 people submit entries for socks or slippers, so that was 31% of the entries. And then we had a tie for the second most popular. We had 20 people enter sweaters or cardigans, and we had 20 entries for hats. So 16% for each of those. So we had some big projects with sweaters and cardigans. 20 sweaters or cardigans finished this month. That's crazy. Wow. And then we had a good spread of project types for March. 92.8% was knitting, but then we had 3.2% was crochet, 1.6% was spinning, 1.6% was cross stitching, and then 0.8% was sewing. So a good variety of crafts this month, which is pretty exciting to see. All in all, that brings us to the end, and for me to pick a giveaway winner for March. So from all the entries, I used a random number generator to submit to pick a winner for March, and our winner was number 37. The name is Marcus, and the Ravelry ID is Terracuse. You knit some pink leg warmers. There was no photos. I can't show a photo here, but if that is you, please email me at the email is in the description box, or you can message me on Instagram and I'll give you a couple options to pick from for a prize, and I'll get that sent out to you as soon as possible. And yeah, that is the end of this video. That is all I have to share with you guys today and all the stats that we are doing. Overall, I think we're doing really, really well for the year. We seem to be getting out a ton of yarn and a ton of projects, and it's really fun to see everything that you guys are working on. As always, if you want to talk a little more in between these videos, please feel free to join the Discord. Leave a comment down below about what you've been working on and what you want to work on for the rest of the year. What is your goal? I do challenge you guys. Let's get to 1,200 skeins and 120,000 grams by June. I think we can do it. And I'll see you guys next week for a podcast episode. Thank you so much for watching with me, and I'll see you guys soon.